Stretches training vlog number 2. Today I want to talk a little bit more about my current bent arm strength training session. So in the last video I talked a little bit about testing my eccentric handstand push-up strength, and now I've written the new training session, which I'll talk a little bit about today. But also want to talk about my current one arm chin-up strength, or the progression that I'm currently working on. This time last year I had an eccentric one arm chin-up on both arms, but due to the health issues I did have, my strength dropped off, and now I'm just starting again from some of the foundation stuff and building back up. So in the last block before this one, I was working on some mixed grip ring chin-ups. So one hand is pronated, the other hand is supinated. You do your reps, rest in between, switch hands. Okay, so the grip changes, and they were weighted. So at the end of that last block, I was doing 2 reps on each hand, so it's a total of 4 reps, and I'd do 2 reps this way and then 2 reps this way, and I'd rest 30 seconds between those changes of grip. I had additional 20 kilos strapped to me, and the reps were 5 seconds eccentric. I feel this is a good base for me to move on to the new block, and in the new block I'm working on eccentric archer chin-ups. So we pull up with both hands, we move one hand out to the side and keep that arm straight, and then we lower all the way down to the dead hang without bending the straight arm. So therefore most of the weight is placed on obviously the bent arm, and it's just a nice progression that we can start to work on to add more load obviously to that bent arm. I'm going to perform these weighted as well. I'm definitely strong enough to do so, and in this week I've started out with 6 sets. The first 3 sets are 3 reps on each arm. Then I do 2 sets of 2 reps on each arm, and then I'm doing 1 rep on each arm. The tempo is 4 seconds eccentric. This I call it assisted on the way up because I'm using 2 hands to pull up. And there's sort of a 2-second pause at the top, just getting nice and high, chin above the ring, and then extending the arm out to the side while I'm holding that top position so that we're working on a full range of motion there. As the weeks continue in this training block, in weeks 3 and 4, the repetitions will go down. I'm going to do 4 sets of 2 and then 2 sets of 1 on each arm, keeping the same tempo. I'm still resting 30 seconds between the changes in sides, just to help the recovery, which will also keep the intensity high, meaning that the weight can be higher. After those 4 weeks, what I'm going to try to do there is I'm actually going to drop the weight and start to work a little bit more on the volume, but I'm going to switch the exercise from just being the eccentric archer to doing the concentric and eccentric archer. So we start in the bottom position, and we can either have a false grip on this arm that's going to be straight, or we can have this sort of neutral grip. The false grip will shorten the lever length and make the exercise a little bit easier, okay? Or the neutral grip will make it a little bit harder. But we virtually start in the dead hang, both arms are straight. I'm going to pull with one arm and the other arm's going to stay straight, and we come to the top and then we lower back down, keeping that arm straight. We do all the reps on one side and then we switch and we do all the reps on the other side, is the way I'm going to work that. The reason behind that is I'm going to do 4 weeks of sort of the heavy, what I call sort of an intensification phase. And then I'm going to bring in sort of 2 weeks of more accumulation. So it's more looking at the volume there, and it's going to test a little bit more in terms of muscle endurance. It's also going to be a little bit more towards the hypertrophy end if I can get the repetitions to come up. I'm not going to go for max reps there. I'm going to go for 5 sets of 5 on each arm, but obviously by that 5th set, I dare say there's going to be a fair bit of fatigue there, so it'll be interesting to see if I can get the 25 reps on each arm. Coming back to where I'm currently at with the training, so this is obviously week 1 of this archer chin-up, and my goal was to obviously hit the rep targets. I'm adding weight, but the goal of today's session is not to work to failure. I want to make sure that I'm getting full range of motion reps, getting the chin nice and high at the top of the pull-up, and being able to stick to the tempo on the eccentric all the way down to the dead hang. And like I said, hitting the reps. I think far too many people often chase the weight, and we allow the weight to dictate the range of motion. We allow the weight to dictate the form, and we sometimes allow the weight to dictate the number of repetitions. This goes against everything that we're trying to do in the programming right now. The objective is not to chase the weight. The objective is to chase the quality of the movement. range of motion is critical here. You're only going to get stronger in the range of motion that you train. So if you're performing partial reps or the weight is limiting your range of motion, then you're never going to get strong in that range of motion that you miss, okay? If the form is being compromised by the weight, then you're out of position and you're teaching the body bad movement patterns. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to move well under load. So if you're using too much weight and the quality of your movement is being challenged there, then you need to drop the weight, drop your ego, and step back and focus on the quality of the movement. If you can't do the movement at the minimal weight, let's say it's a body weight exercise, then you need to regress that movement. Otherwise, you're not going to progress. If you're adding too much weight and chasing that weight, it's going to quickly lead to plateaus in your training, and it's going to quickly lead to injury. So it's not a smart way to train. Far too often, I see programs that have been written, especially group training programs, and coaches that are encouraging people to chase the weight and to chase speed. We're doing rounds for time. We're doing how many reps for time. This style of training is what I like to call fatigue-based training. You're fatiguing the athlete or the client, and you're getting them to move poorly under fatigue. This is not encouraging people to look after their health and look after their longevity. It's teaching people to value speed and the quantity of repetitions over the quality of the movement. So I'm really not a fan of this style of training. And I definitely don't do this with my clients anymore. I have made that mistake in the past, but I definitely learned from that. And that's one of the things I love about bodyweight training and gymnastics is, it's really hard to cheat the movements, especially if we're doing strict movements. And with all my clients, I'm pretty strict on their training programs and pretty strict on, my feedback on their videos. I'm trying to get them to focus on the quality of movement. Anyway, that's my little rant for this video. Let's move back onto the training. So my last vlog, I talked about my handstand push-up, and I was sort of testing the eccentric straddle handstand push-up or star handstand push-up down to the straddle, the bent arm straddle planche. Glad to say that this week was so much better. It's incredible how quickly the body adapts. Just after one session, my body's already started to see progress in this movement. This week was really good. So I did 6 sets this week of just 1 repetition. The eccentric time was between 10 and 18 seconds for all repetitions. I managed to move into the bent arm planche a lot better this week. And I was really trying to focus on getting to the bottom of the push-up and then being able to turn the hands out so I could lean further forward, not limited by the wrist extension so much. And definitely got into a much better bent arm straddle planche here and could hold, that position so much better than what I did last week. The only issue I found is when I get to the bottom of the press up, I turn one hand and then I turn the other. I haven't yet got the control to be able to turn both. And when I say the control, I feel that there's obviously too much weight forward under the hands and I can't pick it up. So I'm shifting weight one side, twisting, and then other side and twisting, and then hitting the spot. I've got to get the weight to come more back onto the palm, the pisiformis, I think it's called, on this side over here, where I can twist. I can put a lot of weight on this part of the hand and I can really start to twist. I need to be able to lift the thumb off so we can get that rotation. So it's just something I need to be more mindful of, and I need to experiment with. I don't have to rush it. I think sometimes if I rush it, it speeds up the eccentric and I start to fall through or gravity takes over. So I've got to keep that tension in the muscles and really focus on being able to get that turnout. So it's just something I'm going to have to practice a lot more. But other than that, I was really happy with how the eccentric handstand push up to the bent arm straddle planche went this week. I had 1 rep that was 18 seconds, and my goal is to get them to sort of 20 seconds if I can in the next sort of 6 weeks. So this is a really good start. I'm happy with that progression. Obviously, these were my A's. I did doing the archer chin eccentric, and I'm doing the handstand push-up eccentric as my A's. In my B's today, I was working the mixed grip, so I was keeping the mixed grip ring chin up in there, but working sort of more volume. No weight added now. It's just more about getting some volume in there, and I was doing sort of sets of 8 for 4 with each grip there, and then I was supersetting that with a weighted push-up. So putting a weight on my back and working nice slow tempo on the eccentric there, just to start to build some of the pushing strength that I'm going to need for the handstand push-up. So I feel the weighted push-up is actually a really good exercise that's going to help with the pressing strength there. And then I did some good old-fashioned barbell bicep curls, so just working the biceps, isolating the biceps to help with the one-arm shim. And I'm always working shoulder external rotation. So today was some side-lying shoulder external rotation. And I was actually going a little bit heavy on this. So I was just doing sets of 5 with a 4-second eccentric with a weight that maybe I could lift only for 2 repetitions. But what I was doing is just working the eccentric and then assisting with the other arm to pick it back up, or moving in a position where I could lift it back up and just focusing on the eccentric. So I'm just trying to overload the rotator cuff muscles there and just try and see if I can stimulate them to get a lot stronger. Like I said in my last video, there's definitely a weakness there, and then something I need to focus on. So I'm just using eccentric training to do that. My little finisher today was just a bent arm butterfly planche, and just trying to lean forward and just max out hold. So again, it's just putting more stress on the triceps. It's an isometric end of the session after the handstand push-ups and the weighted push-ups. So there's just taking out whatever's sort of left there. The form is pretty good. There's not really anything I'm going to lack in that sort of position there, and it's just a maximum hold time, resting about 60 seconds and then going again just for 3 sets. So yeah, that's my program at the moment. I'll keep you updated with how this goes, but this is just one of my days. It's sort of covered a little bit of my bent arm strength. In the next video, I might start to talk a little bit about my handstand training or about my mobility training. If you've got any questions, just let me know. If you've got any feedback, let me know. More than happy to listen to those who have walked the path before me and can offer any tips or recommendations. Other than that, thanks for watching.